what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at a great example of exactly how Hasbro should be making their figures all the time. This is easily, far and away, the best Captain America figure they've made in the last 10 years. It's so much better than all the other ones. Even the good one, the 80-year one that was a solid release, this is so much better than that. It's not a perfect figure, but it is so much better than 99% of the figures they're putting out. I don't even know what to say almost. Well, I do. There's a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just over 6.5 inches, about 6 5/8. That's going to make him roughly a little bit shy of 17 centimeters. Here he is up against Darwin, a little bit taller. I don't know what their official heights are. I wouldn't mind if Cap was just a smidge taller, but I think that's going to be okay. Should be just fine. And boy, does this figure look good. We're going to do a question of the day. Are you okay with this version of Cap? With like the gray under panels and stuff. This is basically the ultimate Cap, unless I'm going nuts. I'm pretty sure that's what it is though. Or would you rather a more classic one being their best release in forever, basically? For me, I love it. This is my preferred look for Cap. I think it's wonderful, and I'm very, very, very happy that they did such a good job with it. So, am I right? Does it say if it's ultimate Cap? It does say it. Okay, I am right. All right, I knew I saw it somewhere, and I thought that's what it was. Oh man, not sleeping is just really getting to me. So let's talk about the aesthetic. But before we get into the rest of the review, we have to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Into the AM. Now, the reason I'm talking about them today is not only do they have new designs, which I've already showed you in a different video, but I'll show you again. We have this very nice Japan-inspired one with the sakura tree, sakura blossoms, whatever. It's a cherry blossom. And, you know, the building and the mountains and stuff. So we have that. We have things like this, which are a little bit more metered, I guess you could say, for those who don't want all the neon colors that I tend to like to wear. They do have the new snapback hats, but that's not it. They have a sale going on right now, and all the information for the sale is going to be in the description below. Go ahead and use my link, and that'll take you there, and you can get this stuff. Now, the key here is I recommend these guys all the time. I think their graphic tees are the best, even at full price. They're totally worth it. When there's a sale, you can't go wrong. You're gonna pay this much for crappy clothes at like Kohl's or any other place. I don't know, wherever you guys shop for like graphic tees. These are way better. These are by far, if they weren't paying me at all, I'd still be telling you this. These are the best graphic tees I've ever owned. They fit better than anything. The print work is better than anything I've seen. They are fantastic, without a doubt, worth the money at full price. They're on sale, so go check them out. They have their stuff on sale right now. If you don't want to just use the sale, they do have bundling options, and they do have the subscription service. You can do those things. It's all on their website. I've talked about it a million times. They also have other things. Like I said, they have the hat. They have all kinds of different stuff, but really it's the graphic tees, and that's what I would encourage you guys to get because they are that good. I just think they're awesome, and that's why I keep doing the sponsorships. You guys seem to like them. I like them. Everybody wins. So there's a sale going on. Check out the information and the link in the description below, and let me know if you get anything. This looks like it was made by a different company than Hasbro. Whoever they had sculpt this knew what the heck they were doing. It's really, really good looking. The proportioning, so much better. It's not as exaggerated as the comics, but it is done well. It is done the right way. Broad shoulders, broad chest. We don't have any weird proportions going on. It looks really good. The arms fall where they're supposed to. The legs are generally the right length in the right areas. Thick thighs, pinched in knees, calves, pinched in ankle. Like, it's just all there. The head is not huge. It sits well. Like, it's really good. It's really good. It fits in with the Marvel Legends well enough that it's not like overly like huge chest, huge shoulders, tiny waist type of thing. I think this is, if they made every figure with this sort of styling, I'd be thrilled. It looks so much better. And as far as paint goes, there's not a whole lot going on here. In fact, that's one of the flaws I would say, is that we could use a little bit more paint going on in the belt. Maybe a wash or something, but the red is done well enough. The white is done well enough. The gray is done well enough. The stars are okay. The blue on the arms, not great. You can see white poking through, so that's not ideal, of course. But most of it's molded plastic, which is fine. Molded plastic is good. I do think, I mean, obviously they have a lot going on here, so I didn't expect them to do this, but a wash on here in certain places would make it look wonderful, especially on the reds and the blues. You could leave the white alone because it's white and it doesn't really need it. And then on the brown, just bring it to life a little bit. Anybody who's willing to paint this is going to have a damn good looking figure. It already is for a standard Marvel Legends release, but that would help a lot. We'll get into the sculpt in a second. I want to talk about the paint on the face. It's clean. It's okay. The skin tone could be painted a little sharper. You can see like up in the corners here, it's not quite there. Their dot matrix type of paint job is not my favorite thing. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell on camera. It doesn't look great up close, but at arm's length, which is pretty much what it's going to be at most when you're actually handling it in real life, it looks fine. So that's okay. You have to review things as if they're in real life, not just right up against the camera, because most people aren't going to be looking at it that way. And realistically, anything that's mass produced in like Marvel Legends pricing is not going to look great that close to a lens. Okay, so let's talk about the sculpt in detail. I love the scale mill. I think they did a really good job with that throughout. There's a lot of texturing going on, which you could argue is maybe too much. It goes too close to the realism category for Marvel Legends that they've been doing. I don't think it's a problem personally. I don't mind like suit details, and you have like a little bit of texture in here. The red lines have some texture on them. The pants have seams and wrinkles, of course. But I don't think they went over the top. The helmet, or I guess it's a helmet technically, there's a little bit of texture on there. I think it just brings the figure to life. I think it looks wonderful, and I am thoroughly pleased with this figure. So aesthetically speaking, for Marvel Legends standards, obviously there's room for improvement, but it gets a 9.8. 9.8, it's really good. One thing that does really grind my gears, and it's just a very tiny thing really, in order to line up the gray paneling on the arms to the shoulders, the arms have to face out, which that's why it lost an extra point. I was going to give it a 9.9, but the arms having to face out to line those up drives me nuts. Obviously, it's not a big deal, but had to put that in there. So she said, okay, so let's talk about the accessories. We do have the neutral head, and then we have the angry head, and they're both done really well. I think those look good. A lot of people have complained about the Cap heads in the past. Is this exactly the way I would make him look? I don't know. The head's a little boxy still, but it still looks fine. I don't have a problem with it. I don't look at it and go, need a new head. I think that's okay. We have the two fist hands. Then you get the shield throwing hand, which is cool. And then you get a gripping hand with the vertical hinge, which is cool, but he has nothing to grip. And he doesn't have a trigger finger, so if you did want to give him a gun, you couldn't. He has a trigger pinky, which is strange. And like I said, nothing to grip. Even the shield, which we've seen a million of these, I think it would have been nice if they included one of their better versions that's not just smooth red plastic on the back. That would have been nice. So we got like the worst version of the shield, really. And it still has that horrible clip, which, by the way, the hand can't even grab onto. So I think for such a good figure, including the worst shield they have, is a disappointment. Plus, it's burgundy instead of bright or red. So very disappointed in the shield, but you probably have some other ones lying around from any previous Cap. I think would probably be better than this one. So it's a little bit disappointing that he doesn't have a trigger finger hand or a gun or anything. He just has a gripping hand for no real purpose. So accessory wise, I'm just going to go 7 out of 10. The shield sucks. You get one good hand and a good head. It's not bad, but it's not anything special. Okay, let's talk about the articulation. I am disappointed to say they are back to using the hinge, even though this is a brand new figure. So we have the hinge. It looks up fine. It looks down okay. No problem there. Side to side is fine. No attitude. And no nuance posing. You can't lean the head to the side or anything because they went back to the cheap articulation. I mean, not cheap to produce. It's more expensive to produce this than the other. Well, I guess the way they do it, it wouldn't cost any different either way. But point being, it would have been better to have a double ball peg in there. That's a little disappointing. Shoulders, full rotation. Arms go up. Better than horizontal, no issue there. It's funny, a lot of people ask me, is the reason they have the tiny shoulders to get better range? And I always have to say no. If you do it right, it doesn't matter what size the shoulder is. You could have a shoulder this big and you could have the range, or not, depending on how you do it. This guy has decently sized shoulders. There's no huge gapping, and look, better than horizontal. It has nothing to do with that. It's strictly a design thing that they just don't seem to care about most of the time. Bicep swivel is fine, double jointed elbow. It is pinless. Perfectly good range, no problem there. I still think his shoulders could be bigger, because right now his biceps and triceps they're pretty sizable, and then the shoulder's not as big as it could be, but it obviously does still look good, so I'm not too bothered by it. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. Diaphragm joint on this guy. I like that they used a diaphragm joint up there. It makes sense for the character design, but not too much range going back. Almost no range going forward. That definitely blows. Side to side, it has some, but not much. And then you have your rotation. So maybe you could crack it apart and get a little bit more range out of it, but this all feels like hard plastic. I don't think it's PVC, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to separate that potentially. So that could be a problem. You do get a waist twist down here. I thought you didn't at first because I couldn't get it to move, but it does move, so that's good. The belt is a separate piece, but it is in a position where you cannot move it. I mean, does it rotate? I think, yeah, I can't even get it to rotate. So that's okay in one sense, but in the other sense, when you go to move the leg, the belt doesn't flex out of the way. So he has limited range for no good reason. There's no reason that belt needs to be in a fixed position. He can get decent enough range, but it's not as good as it could be, and again, for no real reason. They do go back a little bit out to the side, almost the splits. Could definitely have better range, but that's going to be good enough. Your thigh swivel is obviously a standard thigh swivel. Love the meaty thighs. It makes the figure look so much better. I mean, I know Darwin's not supposed to have meaty thighs, but look at this sculpt compared to this sculpt. Which one looks more like a comic character? This guy, well, whatever. Not going to get into it. Don't need to. This figure's good. Look at the proportioning for the legs. If you bring that all the way up, the bottom of his foot is almost exactly in line with the top of his hip, which means this section of the leg is equal to this section, and that's exactly how it's supposed to be as a rule, and that works nicely. The double jointed knee is good. Proportioning's good. You do get a boot swivel if you like that sort of thing. Ankles go pretty far back, pretty far forward. Yeah, definitely could use some more paint on the boots, even though like the sculpt is good, but more paint would be nice. Ankle rocker is decent. With a little bit of boot swivel, it's perfect. All around, really solid articulation, other than the neck could be better. Torso up here could be better for sure. And I mean, the hips are limited by the belt, which isn't a huge deal. So I'm going to give it an 8. It's pretty solid, but that diaphragm joint not working is definitely irritating. And them not using a double ball peg is irritating as well. But obviously, it's still good enough. So, time for my final thoughts on this. As of right now, figure of the year for Marvel Legends. Without a doubt. Spiral's good. This one's way better. This one's way better. Such a good release. Why can't we get more of these? It's especially for new sculpts, it doesn't cost more to do it right. This is an all new sculpt, so they had to make new molds. Every time they have an all new sculpt, they should be made properly rather than like a body that has all kinds of problems. That's a brand new sculpt that gets used 1,000 times. And this one's not going to get used 1,000 times, yet they did a really, really good job on it. It's so strange. Really, really weird. But man, this is a wonderful release. I'm very pleased with it. I think you guys will be too. I'm going to give it a final rating of 9.5 out of 10. I'm going to knock it down just because the shield isn't that good. That kind of thing. Could be better here and there, but it's a really good one, guys. So there it is. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.